Good evening, everyone. How we doing? Yeah, all right. I just want to. Sorry, a lot of memories came back there. I remember being a crazed second grader that was just like, screw man to Clear Creek, like get out this, and like I remember. So my sister was in Andrew's class, and there are two things that came to mind when he just stood up here. It's like I remember he would run to the end zone, and a bunch of us would just try to keep up with him, right? Like run down the academy track. So that was really fun, and then him and Courier absolutely bullied me during summer camp. I would just like to start out by saying I'm sorry that you're hearing from me today. I was option 3, and personally I would much rather hear from options 1 and 2, but they unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. The lucky thing about Bob is he has made such an impact on so many people's lives that there are plenty of people that could speak up here. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to read some nicely prepared words that were prepared by someone else. I'll add some color commentary to that along the way, and then I'll say a few things of my own. So after completing his 44th year as faculty member at Columbus Academy, Bob retired at the end of the 2018-19 school year as the public speaking instructor who had guided thousands of students through junior speeches over 2 decades. He came to Academy as a 5th grader in the fall of 1959. And ladies and gentlemen, he still had that beautiful flowing hair that we all wish that we could have at his age. After graduating from CA in 1967, Bob went on to a Hall of Fame track career at DePaul University, where he still holds the school's long jump and triple jump records, in addition to earning his undergraduate degree from DePaul. He also eventually received master's degrees from both The Ohio State University and Columbia University's Teachers College. He returned to the Academy in spring of 1975 to coach the track team and became a teacher in our lower school that fall. Bob taught 4th grade for 8 years and then the 6th grade with English for 13 years. He also had short stints teaching 8th grade health and physical education, and we actually have footage of Bob teaching health. We don't, but I would love to personally see that. I know there are others that would love to see him teaching 4th grade PE. I think that would be entertaining as well. So he eventually settled into his upper school role as a sophomore English teacher for several years, and then his longtime position as junior speech instructor. When Bob retired from coaching track and field in 2017, he received the Lou Berliner Award from the Columbus Dispatch for his longtime contributions to high school athletics after accumulating state titles in 1977, 1981, 2012, and 2013. State runner-up finishes in 1980, 82, 96, and 2016, as well as 9 regional crowns, 23 district championships, and 17 league titles. In addition to all these team accolades, during his 43 seasons of coaching, Bob mentored and developed an astounding 21 individual state champions. Man, heck yeah. Now, I want to talk about the ways that Bob Kirk, Coach K, has stuck with me and some of the other Kirkers, as we used to call ourselves. And yeah, that sounds sort of culty, but let's just move past it. First, when... glad they got you. Okay, first, when Coach taught public speaking, he would always get mad at kids for reading. He would tell us that if you're talking about something that you know, you don't need a script. And this is apt for this moment, but I've had an hour of preparation, so please give me a break, okay? Next, giving genuine, heartfelt praise and how that inspires others. During the season, Bob would write emails to the entire school faculty praising the achievements of his athletes, no matter how big or small. Now, just stop and think about that for a second. Who does that in any context? I mean, if your boss wrote weekly emails telling you about how good a job you were doing, that would feel nice.
Yeah.
If your employees got that from you, think how much they appreciate you. And that's how Bob inspired us. Bob also taught us to have a belief in ourselves and others. He taught us to trust our teammates. He He would coach us through stories about past academy athletes, and it connected us to something bigger than ourselves. Coach role modeled preparation. Hopefully everyone here knows about how Coach would send us voice memos the night before track meets, with some motivational lines that I won't repeat here. But this man would also time on a stopwatch how long it took to walk from his seat in Jesse Owens Stadium to the area we prepared for after we finished our warm-ups. Now, you have to put in that level of detail and care if you want to achieve your full potential. All these life lessons have stuck with me, but let's not forget that Coach is an incredible athlete. I remember walking into the first Thomas store and seeing a photo of a jacked man with a burly mustache finishing a marathon. That was Bob. And I guarantee you that you can't find someone with more competitiveness. This man who told us about this is the man who would tell us about his annual family races in Maine. This is the man who would run workouts with his athletes while he was in his 30s. Maybe 40s, I don't really want to know. After that, he would bike next to us when he got older, a sport where he also achieved national recognition. I remember one time a new security guard came down and told him that he couldn't ride his bike on the track. That guy did not know what he was doing. This is the man who always said, it's going to cost them some hair and some hide to beat my guys. And he was right. He taught us that work isn't rosy and romantic. He said it's supposed to hurt. That's the point. Last, to this day, I still use the phrase, hay in the barn. And if you're a normal person, you're asking, what in the heck does this mean? My partner Rachel and I just took the bar exam a few months ago, and 2 nights before, I looked at her and I said, hay's in the barn. She goes, what are you talking about? Now, what that means is the work is done. It's time to be confident in yourself and to just go do it. I'm lucky that we've grown together over the last 15 years. Coach is still my mentor, but he's also become a friend. With all the people here, with all the warm wishes from those not, Coach, you can be confident that you've made a hell of an impact on more than your fair share of people. Great job.
First of all, do we have any 4th graders in the room? Stand up. You know, when I was a 4th grade teacher, like it'd be late spring, it'd be real hot, and it'd be awful in the class. And so I had guys like these guys, and I would go, you know, the only thing we really need to do right now is go outside and run some plays. So would you have wanted to do that? Thank you very much. I was going to wear my tuxedo tonight because I like to dress up on special occasions, but I couldn't find my cufflinks because I just moved. And so I'm in assisted living now. You know, life changes. And my assistant is sitting there next to my sister. She's right out there. But I decided, okay, here it is. I know who these people are, and I thought, as much as I've mentally rehearsed all the different kinds of things that I might say, it's changed and changed and changed. But listening to the Duns in this wonderful event that I think is a great thing for the school, a great thing for people, I'm hearing memories. You know, memories. Like, memories are moments. They are moments. And when we think about what are the significant moments that we remember, a moment that I remember was when Gil Kirk, Gil, would you stand up, please? Gil, stand up. Please stand up. If you can just stand up. Now, the moment that you can sit here. The moment that I got a phone call from Gil Kirk when I was a junior in high school to say, I'm coming over to pick you up to take you over to the Bexley track where I'm going to show you what a workout really is. I won't ever forget. He takes me over there. He's got a 3-piece suit on. I get out, get your togs on, I get out, and he says, run 2 miles to warm up. I went, He said, I've never run 2 miles in my whole life. 2 miles. I run 2 miles, and then he goes, okay, we're running 2:20s. 30 seconds. Jog at 2:20 in between. I went, how many were you going to do? I'm not telling you. Do it. So like I get to about 8 and I'm about ready to cry. And he goes, keep going on. So we get to 12 and I'm at about, excuse me young kids, but I was swearing at him at about 9 and 10 and then it was 11 and it was 12. And then he said, okay, good. And I was really yelling at him. He was totally serene and calm. And then he said, okay, warm down 2 miles. And I went, hey, this is my cousin? He's going to torture me? Like what? So that was the beginning of me understanding really what track was. And so I used every single one of those things in my whole 43-year-long career to get my guys to be good enough to get a compliment from an official. An official said to me at the last, day that I was going to retire, and this guy, well, the OHSAA wrote me a card that said, I opened the card and said, we don't like you. We never had. I'm kidding. But nonetheless, this official said, Coach, you know what you're doing. I loved watching your guys over all the years. You know what you're doing. And so that moment of that comment lingers because you go, he's in a position to know about coaches and kids and what they do and the entire thing. And I thought, thank you very much. And there was another moment that I'll never forget, and it was when I was, the Buckeye Track Club was led by this woman who was the coach, and she was about 20 years older than I was. And she said, Coach, we will man your home track meets if we can run on this wonderful track and work out here. I said, absolutely, meaning the finish line, the long jump, the discus, the shot put, and just have the personnel there to do the whole thing. And so I went, oh, great. One day she said, Coach, of all the coaches I've ever seen in my life, you stand out because you never yell at your athletes. And I went, no, I don't. I don't ever yell at my athletes. Why would you yell at me? Why would you yell at a kid who had just gone out onto the track and given every bit of what they could give who made a mistake, did something that wasn't quite what you prescribed? Why would you yell at them? Because she had seen me one day when we had tracking with Bexley High School in our arch riders. And my anchor man in my 4x400 relay, and I will talk about that particular event. But when my anchor man, who was a senior, who was a stud and a star and very, very fast, taunted the kid from Bexley who was a freshman, who was about 5 or 6 yards behind him, as he got the baton, he turned to him, said stuff like, mocked him. He took off, and at the finish line, Mike Millard beat David Moore, my guy. Beat him. We lost the meet. And I went down to David Moore. I'd had him in as a 4th grader. I walked down, put my arm around him. I walked him all the way over to where that scoreboard is on the far side. And I said, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. You humiliated yourself. And we lost the meet. Don't do that. He's crying. That's all I said. That's all I needed to hear. He knew it. I knew it. What if I'd gone down there and chewed him? So when she said, never yell at your athletes, I thought, Thank you. I don't yell at my athletes. Maybe I might have yelled at you because I wanted you to work harder. Mike Ramsey, I'd tell you that one. You know, but I did not do that. So the moments are the things that make the memories. They really are. And there's so many things. Well, at the moments. My first year as a head coach, my second year as a head coach, I realized that we're getting ready to do everything, and the pole vault pole's missing. The pole vaulting pole. We have one pole vaulting pole. And I went, it's not here. And the athletic director's going, well, where is it? And I went, well, I'm not sure. And he goes, well, get it, find out. Oh, I thought, I remember. You know, I'm a novice practically. So I realized that we had left it at the Gehenna Relays the last spring. You know, the kind of thing, you drive the van and you'd have the pole vaulting poles too big for the van, so like they'd run along and they'd have a towel and they'd put it around the mirror and then they like roll the window up and then have to stop the guy there. So Dan Deffenbaugh, who was my one pole vaulter, I said, I only have one pole vaulter, I need three, I only have one. We left it there. So I called up Gehenna Lincoln High School. And I wanted to talk to Coach Ed Rary. Now, anybody that's from Gehenna knows that Coach Ed Rary coached there for about 65 years. So when I called him up, you know, he'd been coaching for plenty of years. And I said, can I please speak to Coach Ed Rary? And yeah, we'll put him on the phone. He goes, Rary. And I went, hi, I'm Bob Kirk. I'm calling because I think that we left our pole vaulting pole there last year, and I was just kind of wondering whether or not you saw it. You know about it, and maybe it like you picked it up off the field or something. So, kind of a pole was it? And I said, what was it? It was a catapult. And he goes, they're all catapults. Black? And he goes, they're all black. And I said, well, I mean, like, could you look for it? Maybe look for it? He said, you want me to walk out of this office and go down there to my pole my barn and look for this pole? And I went, oh, I could come on for I could move there. And he goes, I think you lost the pole vault. I said, I think I did too. So you kind of go, will I ever, kept this together? I don't even know. So then about 40 years later, a moment occurred that's one of my favorite moments, which was when we were in the seeding meeting. Why they would try to seed track teams, I don't know, but they did. So we were the #1 seed in this large district of 36 teams. So that meant that I got to say at the very end of the whole thing which district we would be in. District 1 or District 2? Well, meaning I get to choose who we're going to compete against. Who are we going to get to compete against? So Liberty Union was seated second. So it boils all the way down to the last few minutes and they go, okay, Liberty Union? And she goes, she was cocky. She was just so cocky. Always cocky. Gave us such a hard way to go when we would go to the Liberty. What was the name of that?
Heidi Zuber.
Super relays. So she goes, District 1. And there was a lot of coaches in the room, assistant coaches in the room. And then, okay, Columbus Academy. I go, District 1. Like, why would I duck you? And so, yes, I said, and so she goes, game on. I went, great. We won by 4 points. We won by 4 points. It was such a moment because I thought, I'll talk to my guys. I'll be talking to my 2-milers. My 2-milers who I'm going to say, we need 4 points out of you guys. 4 points. I know it's 96 degrees, and you've not run in any weather like this because you're cross-country runners and all of the rest of that, but you got to do something, guys. Because we're going to win the 4x4. And you know that, so we're going to win the 4x4. So they went, all right, and they came through. And we got the guys at the 4x4, and they came through and wanted me, so I kind of, that's a memory. That's a moment where I said, yeah, your district, where you're running. So then you think about, I think about, all kinds of moments where you just go, never forget that. I never forget that. And I coached girls and boys for 10 years. And so I had this girls team. And it was tough. I'll tell you why it was tough. It was tough because the boys were great. The boys were doing really well. And so we'd be in a meet and the boys would win the meet. And the girls were struggling. They were just struggling. There were very few girls at the school at that time. And they didn't really realize that you had to work real hard in track to be good. And so we would end, the girls would get 9 points, and the boys get 87 points. And I got the two teams, girls here, boys here. And so I'm going, and I'm totally enthusiastic, and I'm and it was so tough. It was just what are you going to say? What are you going to do? But I do have a great girls story. So we were at the Hamilton Township Invitational, and I had a good 4x8 relay team, but not a great 4x8 relay team, but a good one, a tough one. I had Emily Larimer, I had Laura Meyer, I had Kelsey Keyran, and I had Scotty's brother, sister, Ashley Steve. And so I went, and they had run 10:08. CSG had run 10 flat. We had them Tuesday, and I said to them, my girls, I said, you will beat them Tuesday. And they said, Coach, what? Crazy. They're 8 seconds faster. I said, fine, you're beating them. So I said to Jack Guy, one of my favorite people on the planet, who was their coach, I said, well, okay, Jack, we'll see you Tuesday. He just beat us by 8 seconds, 2 seconds per person. I said, we'll see you Tuesday. He goes, okay, Bob. It's senior day, though. So probably the seniors won't be there. I said, that's okay, Jack. I like to make my reputation running against the best. So I called the fathers of my girls. I called them the fathers of them. And I even called Don Gorman, who had a track daughter. I just called him. I said, you got to be there. You got to be there. 4:30 sharp. 4x8 goes off right then. You got to be there. They go, Coach, what? I said, come here. My friends. And so these men showed up. They were standing over on the hill. They didn't know, these CSG, no one knew what was going to then happen. So little Miss Larimer sets the school record in the 800 as the lead-off runner. Whoa, Terry Larimer's daughter. The Larimers, are they worth anything? Uh-huh. And so I go, okay, good, got that split. And then Ashley Steve did exactly what she did every single week, ran exactly what I expected her to run. And I went, thank you very much. And then Kelsey Keyran was on the track. And Kelsey Keyran was just a sophomore. There she was out there. And she was pitted against Jack Guy's daughter, a senior. The seniors showed up. Oh. So she runs around the first 100. And then Jack Guy's daughter pulls up even with her. And that just hits the gas. Just blasts off. Down the back stretch, and I'm going, not smart. Because it's Kelsey Keyran. So when they come around to the home stretch, Kelsey basically goes, thank you, I hate that. Don't treat me like that. I will smoke you, which she does. And so then she ends up to Laura Meyer, scared to death. Laura Meyer's a sophomore. Oh my God, she took off and she runs 2:18.5. Anybody that's ever in the 800 knows that's fast. So we went from 10:08 to 9:47. This is what we do around here. So I gotta tell you this other story. Well, so in 1980, I had a really nice team, nice little team, and I had a really nice 4x400 relay. I must say that I had this tattoo on my forehead. I think can you see it? Good. I didn't get the tattoo. That comes later. Anyway, I had this great team, and I said, guys, okay, look, let's get going on here. But Brendan Smith has mono, and it's kind of a bad case of mono. So I'm going, he's run for 4 years so hard. He's so dedicated. He's so devoted. He runs in the off season. He's such a great kid. He's got mono at the end. And you go, huh. So, his mother calls me up. She goes, well, took him to the doctor today. And the doctor says he can run 1 more race, not 2. He's on the 4x4. 1 more race, not 2. And I went, 1 more race. This kid, such a good kid. So I went to my other guys on the 4x400 relay, Mike Crawley, Steve Patterson, whoever I can't remember right now, and took them aside. I was one-on-one with them, and I said, let me ask you a question. So Brendan can run 1 race. He's not running as well as he used to run 2 weeks ago. And so should we run him? Do you think it'd be okay if we ran him? Or, how do you feel about him running in the semis? So we can try to make it. To a man, these boys said, he should run. He should run. He's never made it to the state track meet his whole 4 years here. He should run that relay. Yeah, we'll just have to run faster. We'll make it. And then, Phil can run faster. Okay. So he ran. We came in 9th out of 9. The top 9 teams got to run in the finals. So we walked in the next day, and I was going, okay, ready to go. And I had a doctor's excuse for Brendan. I had a doctor's excuse for the officials to be able to replace a person on your relay. A doctor's excuse. So I had the doctor write this thing up, and I had that in my hand. And the guys go, hey, coach, have you seen Patterson? He can't even walk. Steve Patterson had given it up the day before. He had a hairline fracture. We knew about it, and he had given it up. He broke his leg. I go down to Billy Hill, the trainer at Ohio State University. I walked right in the training room, and I told him who I was. I said, would you please examine this young man? And Billy Hill said, I certainly will, and he has a fracture. I said, would you write that down here? Yeah. So I go to the officials. I go up to the table. And they've seen me before. I said, okay, I got a couple changes. I got these doctor's excuses here. And they say, oh, you can't have 2 doctor's excuses. You can't have 2. You can only have 1. I wait. I got a guy with a broken leg. I got a guy with mono. They can't run. So, what are you saying? They go, well, you can't have 2. It's the rule. I went, oh, it's the rule. So I say to these people, I go, oh, I guess you think that probably I've got 2 stallions that are over there in my stable that are just so good I've been hiding them. And now I'm going to put them in. They didn't like what I said. No, I got 2 limping. Okay. So I go up to my guys and I go, here's what we're gonna do. Matt Crawley can't run, so you 3 guys, you go down to the bullpen. You go down to the bullpen, line it up, and run it. And they go, we don't, what? I said, you 3 guys who earned the right to run in the state finals will run in the state finals. And they go, seriously? And I go, yeah, Dave Hess, you lead off. Phil Cannon, you run second. Mike, you don't bring it on there. Don't you know that those 3 guys ran personal records in that crazy race? And when Mike Crawley got to the finish line, he had no one to hand off to. We were in first place. And Mike just stepped off into the infield and the entire crowd went, what? What? So I wrote a letter to the National Track and Field Federation in California and I said, this is wrong. This is wrong. You need to think about it a different way because nobody has enough people on their team at that point in the season to bring out a bunch of, whoever you have on your roster, they're eligible. How are you going to do that? They changed the rule. Changed the rule. I don't know whether they changed the rule because I wrote the letter. They changed the rule. So fast forward 30 years. Fast forward 30 years. Here we are. I've got the fastest, hottest, most amazing 4x4 relay team. And there they are at the regionals. And they run the prelims or the semifinals where they run. And so I get the, thank goodness for, cell phones. I get this text. Gebby says his hamstring is talking to him, which meant Gebby Kenny, the franchise, can't run the finals, probably, or he'll hurt himself. I said, get Meacham over here to me. Get Ben Meacham over here to me right now. Ben Meacham's a junior. He comes over and I go, Ben, here's what you do. You do exactly what I tell you. You see that school bus up there? I gave him all the instructions. He was like scared to death because he was going to have to, do it. So, let me just show you what happened.
Okay.
So, that's Ben Meacham. These are the reigning champions of the signature event, Columbus Academy 4x400 relay. The record still stands to this day. Who went out there, and Bill knows this, and track people know this, like as you coach your group, when I was in high school, in the sacred origin story that I talked about the last time I ever stood before an audience at Columbus Academy, which was all about this, because my 4x400 relay, my mile relay that I ran on when we had done everything we could possibly do, and Bob Fox was our anchor runner and his children were there, and they both ran for me too, we came in 5th. You don't get to go for 5th. I never made it to the state track meet. And I thought, that is a bitter pill to swallow. So, there we were. We made it to the state track meet because of Ben Meacham. And not only that, we tied our own regional record in the 4x400 relay because Ben Meacham ran on it. And then these other 4 guys went out and they set the world on fire. You're timing your anchor, man, and you go, aha, 50.5. Aha, 50.1. Aha, Glenn Wilson, 49 point something. And you go, Ryan Wilson, 49.8? Please, he's a freshman. So Come on, man. This man here, this big tall guy, Clay Hoster. Yeah, so he's my leadoff guy. He comes out of the blocks. He makes a habit running 51.6. He runs 49.44. Thank you. 49.44. I look at my watch. I go, what? And he hands off to this little skinny guy. This little skinny guy who I knew he was fast. He was a distance runner. And I went, oh, listen, Nathaniel, they don't even, I got the boys together. I said, boys, listen, they know about you, Getty. They know about you, Clay. They know about you, Jon Michael. They don't know about you, the distance runner. And so I said, he runs 49.87. And I went, wait a second. Then hands off to Jon Michael Hilsheimer. He's over there. He's in the picture. He's a sophomore. And I'm sitting next to my cousin Rick Kirk up in the stands, and this is so tight a race. They go to the with 200 meters to go, and this kid from St. Thomas Aquinas, they're neck and neck. I mean, they're side by side. And I turn to Rick and I say, when they come off onto the home stretch, my guy will be leading. And he says, how the hell do you know that? Why do you talk like that? And I said, because he will. Because he did not run the 800. We had a talk about it. I went over and said, Jon Michael, you're a regional champion in the 800, but you know what? Don't run it. Don't run it. Be fresh for the 4x4. Jon Michael says, you know, Coach, I'm with that because, you know, I can't beat Seth, and I don't ever want to even be in a race if I don't think I can win it. I said, good enough. But the time I got to my seat, his parents, who were sitting right in front of me, like they were mad. My niece Eleanor Grant said, these people are upset because they've learned, you know, that their boy wasn't going to run the 800. Well, this boy that Jon Michael beat, he ran the 800 and dove at the finish line so they could win. What a great sport. Sure enough, he was 5 or 6 yards in the lead when he gave it to Gebby Kennedy. And sure enough, Gebby Kennedy ran, he ran 49.92. Gebby Kennedy ran 49.13. I had 4 sub-50 times on my stopwatch, which I left on there until the battery ran down. But the point really was that it was just like you go, what are we trying to do here? If not get the most excellent performances that we could possibly get if you listen to me like I listened to this man Gil Kirk, like I listened to Gil Kirk, and realize that this is hard, this hurts, and they need to be persuaded, they need to be sold, this needs to be promoted for them to go and do this. So in the 43 years that I did this whole thing, this was the kind of thing that, you know, I learned from him. So I want you to know that. And but the sacred origin story that I talked about, you know, earlier, that started in Gorham, Maine. Gorham, Maine. When we were little kids, and Gil just graduated from Duke University. He was a track runner. And he said, we're going up to Gorham, Maine. They got a track meet up there. We're going to go up and run. It was Janie. Is Janie? No, my sister is here. And my cousin James, and my cousin Rick, and Gil. Okay. So we did it. And the only person that came back, the only person that came back was with a gold medal was my sister and Rick.
Oh.
All those Kirks ran before them. So the sacred origin story really started in Gorham, Maine. So, going all the way up to this photograph, they changed the rule. I wrote Ben Meacham and another kid on the thing, and there they were, and there it was. Last thing I'm going to say, when I was hired, I had an interview with Dan Hale. And Dan Hale was the track coach and the swimming coach. He was a great guy. And I told him I thought I wanted to see if I couldn't maybe be a teacher in the inner city because I had student taught there. And Windsor Avenue Elementary School. And I was the only white person on the premises. And I was talking about this and he said, well, you know what? You might do that, but you might just be a drop in the bucket in that environment because you're not of that. But you're of this school. You're of this school. And who is going to teach kids like this, who will be the future lights of Columbus, some humanitarian values, if not you? So when I was an 8th grade phys ed teacher, which I hated, we had the 50-yard dash and the president's physical fitness test. And one, Jack Barmerstein. Jack Barmerstein, who was the Ichabod Crane incarnate, ran the 50. He was up there lined up. He was all arms and legs and elbows and knees. And he ran as hard as he could run. And the entire time he ran this 50-yard dash, those kids in his class mocked him. Mocked his motion, chided him, yelled at him, just like totally did it. And he ran. His time was 10 seconds flat. Their times were like 8 seconds, 8.2, 8.5, 7.8. I said, Jack, stay here. Stay here. Just stay right here. I walked down there to those kids. I didn't raise my voice, but I hissed at them. That's reprehensible. You do that to one of your classmates. Don't you ever do that to a person that is in your class. And if you do that again, I ever see it, I will never work with you. I won't teach you anything. I won't even talk to you. Got it? His family moved. Oh, he went out for track. He went out for track the next year. And he ran the 2-mile. And he lost every single race except the last race. The last race, he dove across the finish line to get like 7th place to beat a kid. Then his family moved. And then I got a letter in the mail. I opened the letter. It was from Jack Marmerstein. He said, Coach Kirk, I'm coming to Columbus to run the Bank 1 marathon. He was a junior in college. I said, wrote back and said, what's your tempo? When will you be at the 20-mile mark? He said, 10:48. I said, okay, see you there. Got my togs on. Was there at the 20-mile mark. There comes Jack. He couldn't miss him. Couldn't miss him. I ran him in. Some humanitarian values, might be right. So all I got to say is, thank you. Thank you who are track runners for me. I don't have a son. I don't have any sons. You are my sons.
Aww.
And to have gotten to go out there every afternoon in the spring, and daughters, and have you guys be there and be yourselves, your real selves, and then have you believe me? Believe me? Do what I said would make you better? There couldn't be anything better than that. Couldn't be anything better than that. So I thank you. I thank the school. I thank Dominic Facciola. I thank the people that supported me and didn't doubt me and knew that I was good for something. So I'm totally honored to be here and be recognized for this. So thank you all.